I quit my master's program to become a marriage and family therapist and went to beauty school instead. So I didn't arrive to the decision making overnight to quit my master's program, but I already have my bachelor's in psychology, and it was probably 2021 that I actually quit my master's program to go and become a licensed barber instead-ish. It was kind of the mindset of let me pause and pursue something I can apply immediately and something that I was passionate about and already actively doing here. So I encountered various obstacles within my program to become a licensed therapist that I wanted to share and give some insight if you're in your master's program to be a licensed therapist, that this information could be useful to you. So one of the first obstacle I really encountered in my master's program was when it came to internship. And so acquiring the hours that are required for the state that you're getting licensed in. At first, I was getting licensed in Florida, and then I moved to California, so that required me to take more courses and also acquire more hours for my internship. And I got to a point where I was ready to start looking for an internship, and I couldn't find one. It was 2020 and everyone was going remote. Therapy was going virtual, and there wasn't any hours or any supervisors that I was able to connect with and get the hours that were required. So that was an obstacle, and yes, that was a very unique time. We're definitely well out of that space, and there's probably more options and opportunity now that it's 2024. But there was that, and then there was basically the balance of internship and working full time. So I live on my own. I'm my only income, and so figuring out, I didn't know because I didn't have the internship quite yet, what those hours were going to look like and how my work was going to be able to balance that. I had no desire to work multiple jobs, and I knew what my cost of living was. Living in California, it's quite high. I feel like cost of living everywhere is probably high, but there was just those obstacles, right? Like, how am I going to do both logically, financially, without collapsing? Because it was hard enough working full time and being in school full time, but now working full time, like still in courses and seeing clients, I just kind of was real with myself and saw, like, is that really something I could take on? Is my quality of life, am I going to actually be able to do this? And although I was in my master's program and well into the space to where I should have thought about this, like, it's really not until like you're in the space that it really hits you and that you're actually able to see and be a little more logical about how it's going to play out. And then there was the thought of potentially having my own family. I don't have any kids. I'm single, and I was just being real with myself. Would I be able to give 100% of myself to my family? And I wouldn't say 100% of myself to my clients, but my full self and attention to my clients, especially being a marriage and family therapist, helping people with their lives and their family and their marriages. It's like, am I going to be able to practice what I preach? Am I going to be the mom that's always gone and at work, and the wife that's always like has, her head wrapped into her work and not really able to serve my family the way that my heart desires or the way that I would be advising my clients to. So I kind of just had that thought, like, some people are built for it. And I don't know if I felt like I wanted to be. Like, I know I could do it, but I didn't really know if I wanted to do it. Like, I love helping people. I love understanding the way that we function. Like, that's why I really was called into the field of psychology. But as I started maturing into myself and foreseeing potential future opportunities, I didn't really feel that I wanted a job that was so demanding, and like sacrifice my potential family in a way. A really big hitter of why I paused, quit, stopped, however you want to phrase it, is a controversial one for sure. And that is the topic of the LGBTQ community, specifically the transgenders, and affirming therapy. So back in, I believe, 2013, there was some shifts within the DSM that changed the categorization of gender dysphoria. Not saying it's a disorder, and change the terminology so it's destigmatized. And I think along with that, a lot of the practices on how we would approach this topic changed with it. Again, the origins and onset is very detailed, which I won't get into, but I saw the path that it was going down to, and then we could see where it's at today. And basically I did not align with the way that therapists were now being instructed or required to handle these clients. And the reason why I have a problem with affirming therapy is why is why would we treat this case and this topic different than we would depression or suicidal ideation or anxiety, PTSD? I don't agree with oh, you say you're this, okay, point blank period, let's get you into medical intervention, and let's just completely agree with what you said you are. And the reason why I don't agree with that is because oftentimes when we arrive to a place of confusion or of, let's just use depression for an example, something has brought us there, right? Like, we have a low mood state, we had a loss, we had a traumatic experience, we have hormonal imbalances. Like, there's so many different reasons why someone would be depressed. And so as a therapist, I have a duty to work with that client and kind of get into the different layers and get to know that person and see where the onset of this issue was and why we're currently experiencing this, and have those discussions, like do that work and start prescribing some homework or exercises that could allow the client to kind of climb out of that space or discover something about themselves to bring rationale to where they are. And so the fact that like foundational, there's so many different like theorists and like practices in psychology that would be applied to all of our clients despite what they come in for. The reason that it just like blows my mind that a child is coming into my office and is saying, I'm biologically a girl, but I feel like a boy. Like, let's explore that. Like, why do you feel this way? Like, you know what I mean? Like, and go through the steps that we would with any other situation. So, I didn't feel comfortable with being basically having the reality of my license being revoked if I took that path with this client versus like them coming in and saying like, you're right, I don't need to ask you really anything. The only thing I need to ask you is, do you want to start hormone therapy? Like, to me that's just wild because there's just so many factors. So I could get we could do a whole episode on my perspective on the topic and how the medical field and the psychiatric field is really just has a whole agenda around this. And, there's other countries that followed suit into that and are backpedaling, pausing, and stopping programs that were affirming because they saw the destruction. There's so many detransitioners coming out that went through that process who are speaking against the process itself. It's too accessible, it's too easy, no questions are being asked. And so it's not just me, and it's horrifying and heartbreaking to see and hear these clients and these patients come out, these people come out and talk about their experience. And it's just, for me, that really hits home into the topic of I know that was going to be a problem. I know that was going to be a hard point for me to go through. And there's going to be a time where there needs to be more therapists that are, I don't want to say against it, but are going to take the stand and actually walk their clients through actual therapeutic processes when they come in with these symptoms. And who knows? I don't ever feel the doors closed to go back into the program and become a licensed therapist, but definitely in that point in time to where I am now, it's just not the space that I could function I guess morally in. And it's just wild to me. It's absolutely wild. But anyway, so that was a really big reason why I discontinued the program.